Clara glanced at the clock on the kitchen wall as she washed the dinner dishes. It was almost midnight, and the small apartment that was supposed to be a haven felt increasingly claustrophobic. The smell of detergent mixed with the feeling of exhaustion made the routine even more oppressive. Lucas, her 3-year-old son, was finally asleep, but the sound of his soft snoring could not ease the constant worry Clara carried. The divorce 6 months ago had left Clara with deeper scars than she could have imagined. Her low-paying, long-hours job as an administrative assistant at a local company was not enough to cover all her expenses. The bills piled up, and her bank balance seemed constantly under threat. She tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy for Lucas, but every forced smile hid a sadness that grew deeper with each passing day. The 2-bedroom apartment where Clara and Lucas lived was far from ideal. The peeling paint and old furniture reflected Clara's financial instability, but what bothered her most was the feeling of stagnation. She had always dreamed of being a lawyer, but the cruel reality of everyday life kept her from achieving her dreams. As Clara dried the dishes, her thoughts wandered to an uncertain future. She wondered if there was a way out of her situation, a way to transform her life and secure a better future for Lucas. The sleepless nights and tiring days were starting to take their toll, and Clara knew she needed a change, but she had no idea where to start. The next morning, as Clara prepared breakfast for Lucas, she absent-mindedly leafed through an old newspaper she had found in one of the kitchen drawers. The colorful advertisement, with the phrase "Scholarships for Single Mothers-in-Law Apply Now," caught her eye. It was a small ray of hope in the midst of her heavy routine. Clara hesitated, her heart beating faster as she considered the possibility of going back to school. She had always dreamed of becoming a lawyer, but life had taken her away from that dream. Now, looking at that advertisement, a new feeling began to form inside her. The possibility of change. The idea of getting a scholarship seemed almost like a miracle, but Clara could not ignore the flame of hope that was beginning to grow. Over the next few days, Clara began researching the program. She discovered that the scholarship covered part of the expenses and offered support to single mothers who wanted to go back to school. The prospect of a new opportunity was both exciting and terrifying at the same time. She felt torn between the hope for a better future and the fear of not being able to balance work, study, and motherhood. One cold afternoon, while Lucas was taking a nap, Clara decided to sign up for the program. She filled out the application with a mix of anxiety and determination, knowing that this decision could be a turning point in her life. Each word written on the application was a step towards the future she had always dreamed of, and the fear of failure began to be replaced by the determination to fight for her dreams. After submitting the application, Clara felt a temporary sense of relief, as if she had done something important for herself and Lucas. The path ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like there was a real chance for change. The beginning of the semester brought a mix of excitement and challenges for Clara. College seemed a world away from the routine she knew, but now, with a new class schedule and routine, she had a clear vision of her goal. However, difficulties soon began to appear. Clara would wake up at 5 a.m. to get Lucas ready for daycare before heading to work. After a long day at the office, she would head straight to college, where she would spend hours between classes and studying. The nights were even more exhausting, as Clara would take advantage of the quiet moments after Lucas went to bed to review materials and write papers. Often, she was so exhausted that she could barely keep her eyes open. Lack of time and financial pressure became a constant burden. Clara needed to save every penny, and that meant cutting back on essential expenses. The sleepless nights and lack of leisure time began to take a toll on her mental and physical health. She felt exhausted, and the feeling of not being able to do justice to any of the roles she played, mother, employee, and student, was beginning to weigh on her. One day, Clara received a phone call from the law firm where she had interned. The offer to work full-time seemed tempting, but she knew that accepting would mean sacrificing her dream of graduating. With tears in her eyes, she declined the offer, understanding that in the short term it would only delay her goal. Even so, the pressure of balancing all of her responsibilities was overwhelming. Emotional support also began to run out. Some of her classmates didn't seem to understand Clara's struggles, and study sessions often left her feeling more stressed than relieved. She struggled to balance her needs with the expectations of others. With each passing day, doubt and fatigue grew, but Clara refused to give up. She knew she was fighting for something bigger, a future where Lucas could have a better life, and that gave her the strength to keep going. Even on the hardest nights, the sight of her son growing up happy and fulfilled gave Clara the courage she needed to keep going. The end of the semester was approaching, and Clara was at the end of her tether. Final exams and research projects were piling up, while her already overburdened schedule seemed to give her no respite. Extreme fatigue began to turn into a personal crisis when, on a cold, silent night, Clara found herself sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by piles of books and sheets of paper. While Lucas slept, Clara was desperately trying to review material for an important test. The stress and lack of sleep began to affect her ability to concentrate. She felt overwhelmed and unable to handle everything. Amidst her frustration, Clara began to question her ability to finish the course and wonder if all the hard work was worth it. At the height of her despair, Clara had a falling out with her academic mentor during an orientation meeting. He warned her about the risks of not keeping up and questioned whether she was truly prepared for the challenges that lay ahead. His words echoed in Clara's mind and left her deeply distressed. She felt that despite all her efforts, she was failing in every area of her life. The crisis reached the point where Clara had an emotional breakdown at work. During an important meeting, she was unable to concentrate and ended up making a critical mistake that left her embarrassed and stressed. Her colleagues began to notice her exhaustion, and the pressure to prove herself competent in every area became unbearable. Insecurity took hold of Clara, and she felt like she was on the edge of a cliff. The sleepless nights and lack of support began to take a toll on her health, and she began experiencing physical symptoms of stress, such as headaches and insomnia. Clara was at a critical point, where the decision to continue or give up seemed like the hardest one she had ever faced. With tears in her eyes and a heavy heart, Clara decided to seek professional help. She knew she needed support to get through this critical phase and find a way to reconnect with her purpose and regain hope. It was a crucial moment in her journey, and the decision to seek help would be fundamental in determining the future of her dreams and her life. After seeking professional help, Clara began to feel a little more relieved. Therapy provided her with a safe space to express her concerns and find ways to cope with stress. With the support of her therapist, Clara learned to prioritize and develop strategies to balance her time more effectively. During a therapy session, Clara was encouraged to set realistic goals and not overwhelm herself with unrealistic expectations. She began applying time management techniques and breaking her tasks down into smaller steps, which helped her feel like she was making progress, even if it was slow. In addition, Clara received unexpected support from a close friend, Anna, who offered to help with Lucas's care during critical moments. Anna not only cared for Lucas during Clara's study hours, but also offered words of encouragement and companionship during moments of doubt. With new support and a more balanced approach, Clara was able to return to her studies with renewed determination. She took the time to prepare for her final exams and focused on her studies with renewed focus. Anna's presence and the support of her therapist helped Clara regain her confidence. Clara's hard work and resilience began to show in her grades and her confidence. She prepared for the final stretch of the semester with the feeling that, despite the difficulties, she was closer to achieving her goal. The turning point in her journey began to materialize, and Clara felt that she was finally on the right path to making her dream come true. Graduation day arrived, bringing a mix of joy and relief to Clara. The ceremony was held in a small but welcoming auditorium, where Clara found herself surrounded by classmates and family. The sense of accomplishment and pride was palpable as she waited for the moment to receive her diploma. The journey to this point had not been easy, but finally, Clara was about to reap the rewards of her dedication and effort. When her name was announced, Clara stood up with an excited smile. As she walked to the stage, her legs were shaking a little, but the feeling of achievement enveloped her. Lucas, sitting with Anna in the front row, watched her with shining eyes. Clara was moved to see the pride on her son's face and the presence of Anna, who had been a constant source of support throughout her journey. Receiving her diploma was a moment of great symbolism for Clara. She knew that she was not only celebrating the completion of a course, but also the overcoming of immense challenges. As she returned to her seat, Clara felt a wave of gratitude and renewal. Graduation was proof that her efforts had been worth it and a sign that she was prepared for the new challenges that lay ahead. After graduating from college, Clara landed a job as a paralegal at a small local firm. The work was demanding, but it provided a steady salary and the potential for advancement. The new job brought her a sense of financial stability that had been difficult to achieve before. Clara began to notice positive changes in her life and felt a greater balance between work and family life. Clara and Lucas began to enjoy a new phase in their lives. The sense of accomplishment was contagious, and Clara knew that the future was now brighter. With each passing day, Clara felt more confident and content, watching Lucas grow and celebrating each small success. The journey of overcoming obstacles had finally led to personal renewal and a brighter future. The sun shone through the windows of Clara's new apartment, now a home that reflected the stability and success she had achieved. The space was decorated with personal touches, and Lucas, now 5, ran happily down the hallway, filling the house with laughter. Clara watched her son with a deep sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. What had seemed like an impossible journey had turned into a story of success and renewal. She had found a balance between her work and personal life, and the environment around her was filled with peace and love. The future lay before Clara with new opportunities and dreams. She had established herself in her career and was beginning to explore possibilities for professional growth, with plans to eventually open her own practice. Each day was a new chance to make a difference in Lucas's life and in her own. Clara knew that the hardships had not completely disappeared, but her journey had taught her the importance of resilience and hope. The bright future she had always dreamed of now seemed within her reach, and Clara was ready to embrace each new opportunity with confidence and optimism.